Like people dude, bro, like people have a $3,000 a month Lamborghini payment and they think they're balling out. But my office printer's $2,500 a month. You know what I mean?
Office printer?
Yeah, like you see what
Your
I'm saying?
printer in your office?
Yeah, my Wi-Fi in my office is $2,000 a month.
What?
Right?
What kind of Wi-Fi you got, dog? What are some steps that someone watching this could take to really start to put themselves into, around the right people, building the right habits?
With anything. Any bad habit or bad addiction or bad anything that I've ever had in my life, I'm an all or nothing. All in or all out kind of guy.
So you make the decision, you go all in. What are some physical action steps that a guy watching this, if he's in the same spot that you are in, what were those steps that you took to turn your life around?
Well, you just got to create good habits. It's not going to feel good. The best things for us in life are the most mundane.
All right, Austin, welcome to the show. Welcome to Bridging the Gap.
Yeah, appreciate you having me, bro.
Yeah, dude. So it's kind of cool how we met. I know we've met like a couple times, but I feel like the time we really got to know each other was actually in the sauna.
It was.
At our building. We started talking about all the different businesses you had, and I was like, we got to get you on Bridging the Gap. So
you were talking about it at the time.
Was I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I had launched it.
No, you hadn't launched it yet.
That's cool, man. And I think I'd seen you too, because you had another office in the other building I used to live at, which was Optima Sonoran.
Sonoran, yeah.
Yeah, the old one. So yeah, man, how do you like living in Scottsdale? What's your thoughts on Scottsdale?
I love it, bro. I was born and raised, I mean, I grew up in Gilbert, but then I moved to Scottsdale probably when I was about 18.
Really?
Yeah. And I've been living here ever, I mean, I love it, dude. Yeah. I would never, I would have a second house somewhere else, but I like it here.
Me too, man. Well, cool. Well, we're really excited to have you on. So to give you a little context, right, for those of you guys watching, right, like it's usually my audience is like 19, 20-year-olds that are up hungry. Either they've just started to kind of see success. They're making 4 or 5, 10K a month. They're looking to get that next big break, or they're in college. They're thinking about dropping out. They don't really like what they're doing. And so really the goal of this podcast is really just for the younger version of me, the younger version of you, and really just kind of pour back, give back to them. So we're going to kind of dive in. I want to hear a little bit more about your come up, because what you're doing now is incredible. For those of you guys that don't know what Austin is up to, I mean, he's got probably one of the largest residential real estate companies how many people are in your office right now?
We right this second, we probably have 50 people in there right now.
He's got 50 people, and they're all sales reps pretty much, right?
We have like 75 total, and people that 100 if you include like marketing and sales and some of the other companies.
Dude, that's incredible, man. And how old are you?
I'm 28.
28, dude.
Yeah.
And that's the crazy part is like you'd think, okay, he's going all in. He's just doing this one company. How many other companies are you running?
We're technically, I mean, I own like 15 entities.
Sheesh.
But there's like 7 or 8 like real companies that produce a lot of cash right now. Yeah.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you've done all kinds of stuff. Like, weren't you doing like ATMs a while? Yeah, you were doing ATMs.
Yeah, and an ATM company.
That's right, dude. Yeah. So that's why I wanted to have you on, man, just because I love the scrappiness. I love that you're young, you're hustling, you're making moves, and you got a beautiful fiance.
Yeah, thank you.
When are you guys getting married?
Not sure yet. We'll do it. We might just go to the courthouse, dude.
Just get it done.
I don't want to pay all the money for a big wedding. I'd rather go buy property. You know what I mean?
Dude, totally. I'm kind of on the same wavelength, man.
Yeah.
But cool. So let's go ahead and jump in. So talk to me about what was young Austin doing, right?
Yeah.
In high school, middle school. A lot of entrepreneurs. Like I was watching Mark Cuban the other day, and he was selling trash bags.
Yeah.
Door to door.
Sure.
Right. So do you have any cool stories like that where you started selling stuff, or where did you really start to get the bug for entrepreneurship? What's going on, guys? It's Bridger. Listen, a lot of you guys watching the podcast want to know how you guys can get a hold of me. Best way is to join my Bridge Builder Brotherhood and shoot me a DM on School. First link in the description. You've got exclusive content, monthly coaching calls with me, and I'm posting all the time in there. It's like our own little social media platform. First link in the description, completely for free. Let's get back to the podcast.
I owned a pool company. So I grew up with my grandparents in Gilbert, actually. And my grandpa owned a pool cleaning company when I was a kid, and well, he still owns it. They're still around. They still have the same house that I grew up in. And, when I was about 7 years old, my grandpa started teaching me pools. By the time I was about 9, like I would go with him, probably when I was like 8, I would go with him, when I got out of school or whatever, and I would help him, right? And he would pay me $1 a pool to help him, and we would do like 15 or 20 in a day,
Wow.
And then by the time I was about 9, I started getting some of my own actual accounts, so they weren't my grandpa's, they were mine. And then I would go run my own route, So by the time I was probably about 9 or 10, give or take, I had, I don't know, maybe 20 or 30 people paying me monthly to service their pool weekly, right?
Wow.
So, I was making like $3,000 a month, or whatever.
Whoa. At 9?
At probably 10 or 11, yeah. Right in that ballpark. 3 to 5, depending on probably if I was doing repairs or anything like that on the pools. But yeah, man, I made a lot of money. Well, for a 10-year-old, I made a lot of money. $3,000 is not a lot of money now, right? But when you're 10 years old, it's a lot of money, right? And that was all cash, it was just like,
no taxes, probably, right?
None of that, And dude, I just blew it all, man.
Did you?
I had every toy you could imagine when I was a kid. I grew up with my grandparents, so they didn't tell me like they'd already raised my parents, or my mom, right?
Okay.
And so when you think of a grandparent, I don't know if you have a grandparent, but they're typically if you have a good relationship with them, they're the people that like you go to their house, they give you all the chocolate, all the candy, right? Like, so in a nutshell, I didn't have a lot of rules, like it was just like I could do what I wanted,
Yep.
And so they really let me do what I want, and I got myself into a lot of trouble doing that, and I blew all my money. Yeah.
So what was the biggest thing you blew your money on it as a 10-year-old? Like I can't, I remember what I bought, but I'm curious.
Yeah. I was out an outdoor guy. I would go from like hobby to hobby to hobby, right? So I would buy like dirt bikes, quads. I got into like airsoft really heavy at one point. But when I got into something at that age, like, I would go buy like a $4,000 airsoft gun, like custom built, or I remember one time I bought like a $5,000 paintball gun back in the day,
What?
And, and I was just a young kid, right? And so I always had like the best of every toy that you could have, I had, like we raced, the RC cars that you could race, like they run on like nitro. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
The gasoline ones?
The gasoline one? I don't think I ever played with those ones.
Okay. Yeah, they do 100 miles an hour. They're
Do
like that long, or maybe that long.
Okay, no, I haven't seen those.
Yeah, and they ran on like 125 octane or whatever.
Wow.
But I would do like just everything you could imagine, dude. I blew my money. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay, so you blew your money and at 10. And when did you learn your lesson? Because I did the same thing, right? When I started making money at 18. Car, didn't keep any cash, right? But now you probably have a lot of real estate, good investments. So where did the lesson start to kind of realize I got to use this money?
I think I did it one more time. So when I was probably, I've been through, I like to think that there's seasons of life that we go through, right? So when I got older, I did a bunch of stuff. And then when I started making a lot more money. I had made a lot of money, growing up, but then I made a pretty significant amount of money, in my 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, ballpark. And I blew a lot of money then too. I didn't blow all my money, but I blew a lot of money. I bought a Lamborghini Huracan when I was 20 years old or 21 years old.
Wow.
I traveled the world. We went to the clubs every night. I was in Old Town 4 or 5 times a week, but, and it was, bottle service, everything you could imagine. Right. So I did that, I went through that kind of season of my life. And I had a lot of fun, dude. I don't regret it. We traveled, dude. We had a blast. Right. So, I think I knew at that point, money management. I just didn't care.
Just didn't care.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm so young. I'm already beating everyone. Yeah. I kind of felt the same way. Cause I'm like, you're so far ahead and you're like, I feel like I could go broke and do it again.
For sure.
And there's almost something exciting about that, but that's cool, man. So, okay, so you go from having a pool business, and then where do you go next in your entrepreneurial career? What's the next thing you start selling?
Well, I got into multi-level marketing, and then I worked a bunch of jobs too. So I had a lot of jobs growing up, just regular jobs, restaurant jobs, stuff like that. I did air conditioning, road construction, So I worked a lot of jobs, after I got out of the pool thing, right? Because I got out of the pool thing probably when I was like 15, give or take. And then, just went from job to job, hated it, would always work there for a couple months, quit, hated my life, type of thing.
Right.
And then...
like most people watching this, if you hate jobs, you hate getting told what to do,
dude,
pay attention. He's about to drop some bombs here.
And so, dude, I did that. And then I got into multi-level marketing.
Okay.
And we did pretty well in that. I learned a lot, man. I will say I didn't make a ton of money. I made good money. I got a Mercedes-Benz paid for by the first company that I was working for when I was, 16 years old. But
wow.
I learned a lot. My paradigm shifted in multi-level marketing. I started getting around very high-level individuals. And that really is, I think, the life altering thing that kind of happened for me. You know, it was like getting that knowledge, you know, for me changed my life. Yeah.
Yeah, talk about that for a second. For those watching that maybe have heard paradigm shift, don't know quite what it is, maybe haven't had one. What is a paradigm shift, and what was your experience with it?
Yeah, just your entire belief system. Everything you know, changes. I mean, just like the fundamentals of, because I've spent a lot of years of my life, you know, working on me, right? I mean, I just got back from the Hoffman process. I don't know if you're familiar. I've done Joe Dispenza,
cool.
you know, the advanced retreats and stuff like that. I've been to the Landmark Forum. I've been through all of them. You know, I've been to Tony Robbins events. I've been to a lot of like personal development stuff, right? So when I got into network marketing, you know, I like just everything I knew about the world up until that point became different, right? It was kind of an eye-opening time where like I was able to surround myself in very close, I would say, proximity to people who were just like me, making 300, 400, 500 grand a month, $1 million a month, 2-3 million a month. I mean, like big money at that point for me, at least. I was like, wow, that's a lot of money, you know? And I started to recognize that these were people that were just like me. Like they're, you know, and I was like, man, they're just a human being, you know? And that really was when I was like, okay, anything I put my mind to, I could achieve. Yeah.
I love that, man. So the power of getting around the right people. How do you think that impacts someone in success?
Oh, it's everything. Yeah,
It's everything.
You have to get around the right people, you know? I mean,
What's going on, guys? It's Bridger. Listen, a lot of you guys watching the podcast want to know how you guys can get a hold of me. Best way is to join my Bridge Builder Brotherhood and shoot me a DM on School. First link in the description. You've got exclusive content, monthly coaching calls with me, and I'm posting all the time in there. It's like our own little social media platform. First link in the description, completely for free. Let's get back to the podcast.
because I was around the wrong people growing up for different seasons of my life. I mean, there was times, you know, when I was a kid where I had bad friends, you know, we smoked weed, we did all that crap, right? And had I kept going down that road, like I wouldn't be where I'm at today. It took me stepping out of that and into the realm of like different relationships and different people and saying no over there and yes over here, you know, and doing that day in and day out, right? And and I remember like, you know, where people would call me to come hang out and party, you know, and I had to like ignore them, right? And make a different decision. Yeah.
I love that. So was there any specific like event that happened that made you want to like stop partying? Cause like you'd been doing it. Like what was the turning point for you? We're like, dude, I'm ready to just say no.
Yeah.
Like, cause I feel like a lot of people want to quit, right? Like I remember when I was in the season, right, where I just kind of felt just kind of sucked in. There's like something addicting to it. It's like, you know, I'm just going to go to one more party, right? One more drink, and then just keeps going. So where did you draw the line in the sand?
I think I just woke up one day and I just was sick and tired of being sick and tired. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, in the beginning, I just wanted to make a lot of money. You
Right.
know, obviously my why, you could say, has changed over time, right? But dude, I mean, in the beginning, I just had a chip on my shoulder. I wanted to make a ton of freaking money and prove to the world that I could do it, right? You know, I was tired of living a life where I like people around. I don't know. I hated where I was so much that the pain caused me to change, right? Which is, I think, the number one way that human beings change is when the pain gets great enough, right? You can change other ways too. Your desire could be great enough, you know, or whatever. And there's a handful of ways that a human being will make drastic change. But the main way that people change is the pain, right? So something terrible happens, you know, you lose somebody, somebody passes away. You know, you go, something happens, you end up at the hospital, you have some big health problem, and typically that is when human beings will make a life-altering decision. But for me, it was just, I hated that life that I was living. I wanted to be wealthy. I wanted to make money. I wanted to be able to do whatever the hell I wanted, whenever the hell I wanted, with whoever the hell I wanted. And I made it my life's mission to achieve that.
I love that. And you've done that.
Yeah.
So, dude, first off, just want to recognize your success, right? Because to get to where you are today, right, and for you to like have accomplished the things you have is impressive, right? So I just want to let you know that.
I appreciate that, yeah.
And we appreciate you doing the work because we're, you know, us watching here at Bridging the Gap, we're excited to learn from you. So let's say they wake up, they're like, maybe this is the podcast where they're finally ready to draw the line in the sand, right? Where they're watching this, it's resonating, they're doing the partying, they're doing maybe the drugs, they're doing whatever. Man, I don't like this. I want to live a better life. I want to be a better example for my friends, for my family, etc. How did you kind of climb out of that? What are some steps that someone watching this could take to really start to put themselves into, around the right people, building the right habits?
So this might not be the best advice for people. It worked for me.
Okay.
I'm a cold turkey kind of guy with anything. Any bad habit or bad addiction or bad anything that I've ever had in my life, I'm an all or nothing, all in or all out kind of guy. There is no easing into it. With anything, dude. There's been other things throughout my life that I've had that I'm like, I got to quit that.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, do a little less each day and slowly but surely, and I'm just like, dude, you know how you listen to podcasts and they're like, if you want to wake up earlier, just slowly start waking up
15 minutes a day.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, just go from 8 a.m. to 3 a.m. the next day, I'm that guy. Right.
Okay.
And it works for me because of my mindset. I can't ease into anything. I have to be all in or all out. Right. So for me, I just have to force myself one day to wake up and go a different direction and never look back, and that's typically worked out for me.
I love that. So you make the decision, you go all in. What are some physical action steps that a guy watching this, if he's in the same spot that you are in, what were those steps that you took to turn your life around?
Well, you just got to create good habits, that's all it is. It's not going to feel good. The thing is that the best things for us in life are the most mundane, right? Okay. So what I've learned is that, very wealthy people or people that are wealthy in any area, not just financially, but spiritually, physically, emotionally, relationally, right? They have a very mundane life. They do the same thing every day. Typically, they eat the same thing every day. They go through the motions every day. Doesn't mean that they don't have fun from time to time, but everything in moderation, right? And so, if you're somebody that is, splurging on different things, then you're kind of excessively abusing maybe even potentially different things. That could be anything. That could be friggin' Netflix. It could be Pornhub. I don't know. Yeah. But, you have to, you won't achieve wealth in any area doing anything like that, right? Because you almost can't. It's just how you do anything is how you do everything, right?
I love that.
And so, you have to create good habits. I wake up every day, I go to the gym, right? I eat pretty much the same food every day, and it doesn't mean I don't fall off. I do fall off. There's been a lot of times in my life where I've fallen off, but you got to just get back on and keep going,
Yep.
So very mundane, dude. You got to go to the gym, do all that stuff, take care of yourself. You got to input good information into your brain, right? Yeah. So I think a lot of people are consuming bad information and wondering why their life isn't changing, right? So if you go eat canes every day, you're probably not going to look very good, right? Eventually, So same thing applies to anything you put on the computer screen or your phone or your TV, right? What are you consuming every day, right? So you've got to be very careful with that. Be careful who you hang out with, right? And then take action. Just have to take action every day, small action every day.
I love that.
Yeah.
So you talked a lot about investing in yourself. You've done some awesome programs. Some programs I haven't even done that I want to do, right? Landmark Forum. What was your experience with that one specifically?
I like that one a lot, yeah.
You like that one?
Yeah, I did the basic, I did the advanced, and I did the leadership.
Wow.
All in person.
All transformational?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yep. I never do virtual stuff like that too either, by the way,
me
just
neither.
so you know.
Yeah, I don't like the virtual.
I do.
There's a power in person.
Yeah. You have
Shake
to,
hands.
anything like that you have to do in person.
You got to do it
in
person.
my humble opinion. Yep.
Guys, I've got an event coming up. Okay, in a month, you guys need to come to the event in person. Some of you guys bought some online tickets. Come in person. We might even have ZABACK stop by. We'll see. We'll talk about it. But what was your favorite event and why?
It's a tough one. I just got back from the Hoffman process. You have to look into that one. Very good one. It was a week-long retreat. They take your phone. You have zero connection to the outside world at all. You don't know what's going on. If some country got nuked, you wouldn't know about it. They might tell you, but otherwise you have no way of knowing. That was a very interesting one. You dive into a lot of your parents or surrogate parents, why you are the way you are. What are the patterns that you've developed throughout your life, good or bad? Are they serving you? Are they working against you? And you really do a deep dive. I'm talking like real deep, right?
Yeah.
And so that was really cool. I was going to do an ayahuasca retreat, but I wanted to go to Hoffman first because I think ayahuasca is more of a rocket ship. You're taking a rocket ship to your destination.
Right.
Where somewhere like Hoffman, you're doing the same work sober.
Yeah.
Right? So it's much more difficult, right?
Yes.
which I wanted that. I like difficult things, you know?
Yep.
So, yeah, that was a really good one, dude. Joe Dispenza was dope. I did the advanced
Really?
retreat. Yeah, I did a 5-hour-long meditation.
5 hours long.
One meditation, 5 hours. Yeah, without like taking a break or anything. So that was pretty cool.
Wow. What was the experience going into that? Were you nervous about that?
Yeah, very. I mean, I didn't think I was going to be able to go that long, but you know, you can do anything you put your mind to.
Totally.
You know, so yeah, man, I think that was super cool. He's a really cool dude, you know. Love to see what he's built and everything like that. Very inspiring. Tony's obviously a great guy. Been to a lot of his stuff, you know. Yeah.
You like Tony Robbins events?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're pretty
we
cool.
want to go to the UPW coming up soon.
You should.
Me and my girl. You recommend it? Okay.
I do, yeah.
And what about I want to hear about the 5 hour launch. So you go
Yeah.
into it. What were some thoughts that popped up? Because I'm sure you're laying there, dude, and you have stuff just coming out of nowhere, dude, crawling out of the woodworks, right? What was crawling out for you, if you don't mind sharing, being a little vulnerable?
Well, I mean, everything you could imagine, you know. I mean, when you're in a meditation, the thing about meditating is that nobody's perfect at meditating, right? Everybody is on their own journey in meditation, you know, and I'm definitely not perfect. But you know, you're sitting there meditating, thinking about nothing, right? You're just in nothing land. And then, you know, and then all of a sudden you're thinking about if your car is dirty or like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like everything you can imagine will come at you, right? And you have to go back to nothing, right? And then keep bringing it back to nothing. Like, I'm going to go back to the world of nothing, right? Like, it's just, I just am. I'm one. Everything's just one, right? And you're very familiar, I'm sure. So, you know, dude, everything that could come at you. I think for me, when I'm meditating, it's just random stuff. I'm a serial entrepreneur, so
Yeah.
all I do is think about work. I have a terrible habit of that. I can't shut my brain off ever. I try to shut my brain off. It doesn't work. So, yeah, dude, I think it's just like every little thing you could think of.
I love that. Let's talk about that for a second, because I love what you said, right? Because I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Right. My brain's always going. Last night I was thinking about literally probably 3 or 4 different problems in my business, trying to solve them while I'm falling asleep.
Yeah.
You know, waking up with answers. I'm like, I gotta write that down. Then I just go to sleep. You know what I'm saying? So like, how have you either, you know, just accepted it and just, you know, like, okay, this is who I am, right? And how have you communicated that to the people in your life that you love, right? Because you have a relationship with your fiance, right? It seems like you guys are pretty happy.
Yeah.
So what are some tactics for myself? This one's for me.
Yeah.
Right? Because I have the same issue.
It'll be for other people too.
Yeah, it'll be for you guys too.
You know, so the question is like, how do you deal with it?
Yeah.
You just get better, I think, at dealing with it over time. You know, I remember a time where I thought that when I got older or I made more money or I built more stuff that it would go away or it would get easier or whatever it might be. Really hasn't done that so far. I don't know if that'll change eventually. I don't think it will. Maybe in 10 years, I'll give you a different answer. But as of right now, dude, you just deal with it, man. You just carve out time and you do your best to deal with it. I love it. You know, I wouldn't have it any other way. I think I'm blessed with the gift of being an entrepreneur and being a visionary and leading people. And so it's just what comes with it, you know. And in terms of my fiance, I told her on our second date, I said, I'll never retire. I'll never not work. I love it. And I'm gonna be a really hard worker my entire life. And I'll do the best I can to love and take care of you. But are you okay with that, pretty much, you know, on our second date? And so I got it out of the way pretty quick. You know, let her know who I am. You know, I'm not gonna lead somebody on to think that we're gonna live some 9-to-5 normal life. It's just not gonna be me, you know. And so she still struggles with it a bit. She's gotten, I mean, dude, she's amazing. I wouldn't be able to do what I do without her. She works with me too now.
Oh, cool.
So she's actually my creative director.
Oh, awesome.
That her role will probably change over time, but yeah, man, you know, we've had a lot of fun. Yeah,
That's cool. So I actually work with my girlfriend as well, right? So she was my top sales rep and then kind of helped me manage the sales team. And now she kind of moved into like an EA for this new company. Now she's the COO. She's managing a lot of people. So how did you manage like talking about work, carving out time for the relationship? Is that what you do? You just set aside a couple hours at night. We're not going to talk about work. Do you guys integrate it? Like, what's the system? Because I'm big on systems, right? Because the only way you can run these companies and these teams with systems. Have you developed any relationship systems that you're willing to share?
Yeah, we're working on it, you know. Yeah, you know, the thing, she wants that time, right? So for her, it's just like quality time, hanging out and not talking about work every so often. So I do my best to give that to her, right?
Yeah.
But she also understands. I think you have to be with somebody who understands where you're at, right?
Right.
And they can meet you where you're at. So for me, I'm in grind mode, dude. Like, I'm 28, and I told her that, right? I was like, look, I'm freaking young, and not to say, dude, I'll be an incredibly hard worker at 48 or 58 or 68, but there's something to be said about where I'm at in my like, call it career, I guess, right now. And like, dude, I'm not gonna let off the gas, right?
I love it.
Like, and she knows that, and so some nights, it's just work, right? We just come home and keep talking about work, and that's okay, right? And other nights, we'll watch a TV show together, or we'll hang out, we'll eat dinner, we'll go on a walk, whatever, but it's just a matter of one day at a time, but you have to be on the same page, right? So like, you have to have a common goal, I think, that you're working toward. It can't be one person working toward a goal that the other person's not aware of, because then you're going to be not in alignment, right? So like, at least where I'm at with her, she might be like frustrated or upset that I'm not, giving her the time that she thinks I should be, but she understands the goal, right? She knows why I'm doing what I'm doing, right? So she's not going to like leave me because over that, right? Because it's not like I'm being selfish, right? No, I'm building a life, for maybe we have kids, in the future, we will at some point, and I want them to live a hell of a life, and I want to live a hell of a life, and I want to help other people live a great life, So like, dude, you just have to like be on the same wavelength.
The same way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any specifics? Like for us, like we've obviously got like a revenue goal. Is that what you mean? Like, okay, hey, we're hitting 100K this month, right?
Yeah.
Or like, is that kind of the goal, or is there something deeper rooted in the goal, like a longer term vision, or like building like what are some of those things you guys are shooting towards?
It's not so much revenue, because I think you get to a certain point where $500,000 a month and $800,000 a month, your lifestyle doesn't change much, but or $1 million to $2 million or whatever, But I think it's just more of total complete freedom, and helping other people. I think a lot of it's like philanthropy. It could be anything like that, but it is just working toward the goal of just having complete freedom, being able to live just a hell of a life, dude. I want to own a Gulfstream, I want to homeschool my kids, I want to bring the teacher on the airplane with us, when we travel. I want to fill stadiums of people, eventually, and so she's behind that, dude. She wants to do all that with me. Yeah,
I love that, dude.
Yeah.
So let's talk about for a second, like where you're going, right? Because obviously you've built these businesses. We'll get into some of those businesses and how you've built them. But for me, I'm a visionary as well. I love talking about the future, where we're going to go with AI, where we're going to go with, my business, your business, right? Like, so where is ZABACK going to be in 10 years, right? Or 5 years or 3 years or however far out, the longest you've thought out, and where are you bridging the gap to, so that when you come back on the show, we can hear about how you did it.
Well, I don't like to think too far out because I'm incapable of predicting that far into the future. I believe I'm a total visionary, but I've learned over the years that if I set a goal too far out, I will 99% of the time be setting the goal too small. So I've got to be very careful not to go too far out. So I typically only go maybe 1 to 2 years at the most. Normally, I'm a 90-day goal kind of guy. Because when you're an entrepreneur, when you're anybody, you can grow exponentially. Growth obviously is not linear, and so you've got to be careful, I believe, to not undershoot where you could actually end up, right? So I think a lot of my goals right now, dude, are intricate details of the companies that I'm running. We're working on a big potential merger of one of my companies right now, which I can't talk too much about yet.
Of course, yeah.
And that could be really, really cool. That could be really big. There will be multiple other companies that stem off of that merger, like day one.
Cool,
and
dude.
so that could be, at least an multiple eight-figure move, no problem. And then, I've got other companies that I'm thinking about and trying to get them to a lot of my companies are already at multiple 7 figures. It's just trying to get them now to multiple 8 and then eventually 9, sell them, get acquired potentially, some of them, not all of them. So, goals like that. Yeah. And then media is a big goal of mine. I'm looking to hire 2 more people in my media company, and I'm looking to like quadruple the amount of content that I personally put out. which that'll probably happen in January. I told you we're building 2 new studios, big office. Within a year, I want to buy a big building, you know, so instead of renting 12,000 square feet and paying 40 grand a month in rent, I want to buy a big building, you know, and go that route.
Smart.
So that could be really cool. I want to get into home services at some point. You know, and
like what type of home services?
Could be anything. I owned a pool company when I was a kid.
Okay.
Now that I have the resources that I have and I own the real estate companies that I own, you know, I could build a pool company to probably the second or third largest pool company in the state in a couple of years and just get acquired by private equity.
Wow.
For, you know, 50 or 100 million. It wouldn't even be that difficult, I mean, to do now.
What's stopping you from doing it?
Bandwidth.
Yeah, because
you just have to have bandwidth.
Yeah. There's only so many things you can do.
Because I've got a lot of ideas. I mean, there's 10 or 15 things that are tangible right in front of me right now that I could go pursue. That could be big money. But you've got to be very careful as an entrepreneur. You said in the beginning of the podcast, you know, I've owned an ATM company, an exotic car rental company, a golf cart limousine company, obviously own my pool company, I own a marketing agency, and then I've owned multiple companies in the same world of companies that I own right now, but with different partners and stuff like that. I've moved around, right? And I've learned that you can only do so much at one time. I mean, you really do have to be careful, right? When you're an entrepreneur, you know, the old saying, you chase 2 rabbits and you catch neither, right?
Right.
You know, in the beginning, you really only can chase 1 rabbit. Now, eventually, you can hire somebody to catch the other rabbit for you. But you have to be very strategic, right? And you've got to make sure you go down new opportunities at the appropriate time, in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
I think like where I'm at, I've got to be careful. I got to say no more than I say yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Like that's kind of to summarize it, you know? So, but over the next, to answer, you know, in conclusion, when you're thinking about like the next year or two, some of those things that I mentioned will be on the horizon. It's just a matter of, I got to pull the trigger at not perfect, but at the appropriate time. Yeah.
Let's talk about timing and selecting the right opportunities at the right timing.
Yeah. Well, you have to, when you're building a company, like, so I have probably 3 companies right now, maybe 4 that are right on the verge of like, they 99% run themselves. Like I don't have to be there, you know, at all. I could do nothing. I could disappear for a while and it would be fine if they would continue to grow actually.
Wow.
Right. You have to get there, I think, to start taking on new opportunity that won't vertically integrate with the thing that you're already doing. If you can vertically integrate it, you can do it a little bit sooner, but you still have to be careful, I think, that you have the bandwidth, the resources, or the finances to make it happen. And then are you going to bootstrap it or are you going to raise capital, right? I've bootstrapped everything I've built. I've never raised $1 from anybody. Nobody owns me. I don't owe anybody anything. I have no debt.
Any partners or are you still?
I have partners.
Okay.
Yeah, but I've never raised capital.
Right.
Yeah. And I do believe in partners. I'm a big fan of having good partners.
You've had quite a few partners, right?
Good partners, they're key though. Yeah, I've had a lot of bad ones too. Not bad, like they're a bad human, but just a bad partner.
Yeah,
you know?
bad partner. We've all had them, yeah.
Bad partners get a good human, you know. So
yeah,
I got to be careful there. But yeah, man, I think so. Yeah, to summarize, it's just a bandwidth thing, in my opinion, right? If you don't have the bandwidth. Because you got to be careful. Otherwise, what do you start to sacrifice? You start to sacrifice your relationship, your health. I've done that many times. You know, I've made the mistake of I'll just take Adderall, or I just won't sleep, or I won't go to the gym. I won't eat. I won't have a relationship. I'll just grind. I mean, I've done that. I've been years and years of just 18-hour days, you know, sleeping in my office and waking up and doing it all over again and taking 30, 40 milligrams of Adderall to keep going, right? And that isn't sustainable, right? And I've learned that, you know, as much as you think it is in the moment.
No Adderall, guys.
Yeah, you eventually hit a brick wall, right?
Yeah.
And then you have to take 2 or 3 steps backward to get back to where you were, right? So I think you have to like walk the fine line of maxing out your potential, and then building teams of people to step in and do what you do at an even better level, to where you can then take on another opportunity.
I love that. Yeah. Talk to me about how you do that, because right, I'm in a season where I own 100% of whatever I'm doing. Now I've got team members and I see them kind of as partners, but they don't own any equity, right? Yeah. When you're talking partner, you're talking like an equity partner, right? So how are you thinking about it, right? Because like you said, right, there's only one person that can be chasing one rabbit, right? If you're visionary, I'm sure you're familiar with EOS integrator, right? And stuff. So like, how are you picking partners? What's your system? Do you have a system, strategy, philosophy on it?
I partner based on heart and I hire based on heart. It's the only parameter that I'm really looking for. Obviously, they have to know whatever they're doing, whatever the thing is that I need.
Specialized
right?
knowledge.
Yeah, for sure. But that's a given. I mean, you almost didn't even talk about that, right? The main thing I'm looking for is heart. Who are they? What do they do? What do they do on the weekend? You know, what type of relationships do they have? Do they cheat on their significant other? Would they ever even consider doing that? You know.
Yeah. What do you? Real quick, let's talk about that because there's a lot of figures on the internet. Right? If you really, let's call him out. Andrew Tate, I'm calling you out right now. Okay, the guy posted a tweet, right, that started going viral. If you really want to test your woman's loyalty, cheat on her and see if she stays.
Yeah, I don't think,
What's your thoughts on that?
Don't agree with that.
Yeah, I don't agree with that
at all. Yeah.
It's totally wrong.
Yeah, it's not biblical. I'm a Christian, you know, so anything that is like that, I don't agree with. Now, don't get me wrong. Andrew Tate says some certain things that are okay, and I'm okay, and I like it, you know. But you don't have to agree with 100% of anything anybody says. You know, we've already said something today that somebody's not going to agree with, right? Hey, no worries. Treat it like a buffet table. Take what you like and leave what you don't, right? So, you know, I'm not a fan of that. At all. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Well, I mean, I love Tate, right?
Yeah.
One of the things I do love about him is his no bullshit, get it done, just take action, stop being a little, right? Like, I do like that. And I think that's what it takes to get to a certain level of success. I think there is another level, though, that I've started to see when I started to kind of climb up to these 9-figure guys is strategy, right? These guys are very strategic. They're almost like chess players. They're very calculated, like you said, with timing in the markets, with strategy. And so that's interesting. So you're looking at the heart.
Yeah.
And, one of the things that I think that I've done as a young person, probably you've done, is delusional, blind spots, right? Oh, I could do the bandwidth. I could do this, and this. But then all of a sudden I get into it and I've bitten off more than I could chew. So how have you learned throughout, school of hard knocks to not bite off more than you chew?
I still bite off more than I can chew, but I have a big team now, you know?
Okay.
So when I bite it off, I normally can figure it out, you know, like I was telling you before. I mean, between all of my companies and every team member that we have, we have probably right around 100 people, on my team, between all my stuff, right?
All your companies? Okay.
Yeah. Which is nothing at the end of the day. Dude, like, I compare myself to freaking Elon, bro, like, which is good and bad. But, yeah, man, I mean, like, with where I'm at, I don't really struggle with that anymore. But again, I don't bite it off if I don't think I can chew it. Like, I'll take a little bit too much, but I won't take so much to the point where I'll choke on it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
That's important. Yeah. You're getting outside of your comfort zone, but you're not getting into that danger zone where you can implode.
Exactly.
Because there is such a thing, right? Like I was studying, I don't know if you've seen the different breakpoints, and I'm curious if you've seen these, but like you ever study like Brendan Dawson and how he, 0 to 100K, 100K to a million to 3 to 8, 8 to 15, 15 to 25. So when you're looking at that, have you found that those mile markers are accurate, those breakpoints?
I do.
They're pretty accurate?
Yeah. And I've listened to Brandon quite a bit. I've been to a couple of their seminars.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I was just at their 10X Business Summit.
Yeah.
They got some good stuff. One of the things I took away, and I'm curious how you implement this from a real estate perspective, is the success menu. So you go there, right? And these guys are dogs, right?
Yeah.
They're going to sell you everything. But on the menu, they have got so many products, man. Like just so many. I'm like, man, I don't have enough products.
Yeah.
So I just started chopping up my program, figuring it out, and trying to add more value and whatever. But how have you guys done that in the real estate space?
Yeah.
And how do you market your business?
For education in particular, or what? Like high ticket, are you asking?
Do you have a high ticket offer? Oh, you do?
Yeah.
What's your high ticket offer?
Flip and simple.
Flip and simple.
Wholesale. Yeah. Wholesaling. Yeah.
Okay, so you teach people how to wholesale? Okay, cool. And what's your team look like on that company?
And how many people do I have?
Like the sales reps that are running it and stuff?
Yeah, we've got like 3 full-time sales reps, and we've got a sales manager, and we've got marketing and the whole thing. Yeah.
Cool, dude. What's the offer? Yeah, how do you guys do the offer on that?
What do you mean?
Well, so like, what's the price? What's the deliverables?
$5,800 right now.
$5,800?
It's about to go to $78.
Just one program?
Yep.
One program, high ticket, and just push all people through your social to there, probably?
Yep.
Cool. And which business are you most excited about right now?
It's a really tough one.
Okay.
In the very near future, I'm really excited about wholesaling. I don't think I could pick one.
Okay.
I think it would probably be like 3.
It'd
be like wholesaling, my actual wholesale company, the education that goes with that,
Okay. Wholesale.
and then retail real estate.
Retail real estate. How does that compare to commercial, or is that the same thing?
No, retail is like like actual like regular houses.
Oh, residential.
Yeah, residential. Yep.
Okay, retail and residential are one and the same.
Yeah, I just call it retail.
Okay,
yep.
retail. Okay, interesting.
Yep.
You like that? Okay, how did you get into real estate?
I got it when I was like 18.
Because you've got some cool shows, right? Like you do some like cool. I've seen your content online, right? So you got in at 18. Were you an agent or were you doing wholesale?
I got wholesaling first.
Okay, wholesaling first. So just making extra cash, doing it.
Yep.
That's cool, man.
And then I wholesaled a bunch of houses, and then I eventually became an agent. Yeah. I became an agent in 2015.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I did that for quite a while, and then I built a team around that, obviously. And now I don't really do that too much. Anymore. I mean, obviously, if somebody wants to buy a big old house in PV or whatever, I'll represent them. But other than that, I'll just pass it off to somebody else
on your team.
On my team, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, who is the right person to be a real estate agent?
Well, real estate agents are normally people who think that they're going to have a lot of freedom and then they don't, and then they're pissed off that they don't. So I think the real people who should be an agent are actually like somewhat of an entrepreneur. They're kind of like a small business owner type of human being, They should probably be an agent if they like real estate, obviously, right?
Okay.
So you have to like real estate. You have to kind of have somewhat of an entrepreneurial mindset. You can't just be an employee mindset. I mean, you gotta, because the part of the problem is of working for yourself is working for yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I think people think that they want to work for themselves, but then they don't have anybody to hold them accountable. Right. And they don't know how to hold themselves accountable. So you've got to be very careful. I think I see a lot of W-2 employee type mindset people get into real estate and they make a big mistake because they don't ever make any money. Nobody's telling them what to do. Nobody's telling them when to wake up. Nobody's telling them. So therefore, they don't take the appropriate amount of action to achieve the desired result, right? So you've got to be pretty careful, I think, there. And I think the real estate agent industry will be much different in 5 years or 10 for sure than it is today.
With AI?
With a lot of different stuff. Yeah.
Talk to me about what you see in the future.
Very complex. Zillow's slowly working to take over in a lot of ways. So Zillow will be Zillow wants to change the industry, and they will probably pretty quickly. And I think the whole dynamic, everything will change. From title companies to lenders, mortgage companies, all of that. There's so much. It's so clunky right now.
What's going on, guys? It's Bridger. Listen, a lot of you guys watching the podcast want to know how you guys can get a hold of me. Best way is to join my Bridge Builder Brotherhood and shoot me a DM on school. First link in the description. You've got exclusive content, monthly coaching calls with me, and I'm posting all the time in there. It's like our own little social media platform. First link in the description, completely for free. Let's get back to the podcast.
Doing a deal in real estate is so clunky, right? Like, I've got to order an inspection period, and then I've got to get an appraisal, and then I've got to get a lender involved, and then I've got to get, and I've got to go through the title company, and all of that will eventually just be a one-stop shop.
Right.
People will figure that out, and it'll completely wipe out the industry, and I'll bet you it'll happen in less than 5 years.
Wow.
Probably a million out of the 2 million agents will get out of the industry in the next 5 or 10 years, in my opinion. I don't know. What I do know is that it'll look completely different than it looks today. Yeah.
And I feel like what you're talking about is disruption. And disruption, I feel like, is happening across every single industry with AI, with technology, et cetera. And it's time collapsing. Before it was decades, now we're talking years. Pretty soon it's gonna be months with this disruption, right? And the billionaires that I've studied have caught trends of disruption, right? Like Mark Cuban, he caught a disruption with broadcast, net or whatever it was called, right? Broadcasting programs, and he was the first one to do that, streaming. So if you were a young person, right? 17, 18, 19, right? 10 years younger, and you were in this day and age, where would you spend your time learning, studying, and really keeping your eye out for some great opportunities?
Wow. Yeah. Phenomenal. Dude, there will be a lot of money to be made in the world of real estate. If you can get in and innovate in the world of real estate is an archaic industry. Same with every ancillary thing around it, right? Like everything we just talked about, right? And if you're tech savvy, or you can get in and do and raise a bunch of capital, and you've got some big idea, you could for sure build a big company, right? So I think that you just have to be aware. I think a lot of the younger generation is focused on, I could be wrong. And I'm only 28, so I mean younger than me.
Yeah.
Right? I think they're focused more on like internet stuff and like crypto and Forex and all that. And I
drop
think
shipping,
drop
e-com.
shipping. None of that, in my opinion, will. Yeah, I thought about making content about this. It would be very polarizing.
You should, dude.
But there's a lot of people that have entrepreneur in their bio that aren't entrepreneurs, right? If you don't have any overhead and you don't have any employees, in my opinion, you're not an entrepreneur.
Like W-2 employees or contractors?
Yeah, something. You got to look. Okay. If you want to
salary,
I almost want to say like anybody can make, dude. Like the money that I think some of these young kids are making that they think is a lot of money is not a lot of money.
What's not a lot of money for these kids? Just to kind of shock them a little bit.
Like people people have a $3,000 a month Lamborghini payment and they think they're balling out. But my office printer's $2,500 a month. You know what I mean?
Office printer?
Yeah, like you see what
Your
I'm saying?
printer in your office?
Yeah. But like it's just an example, right?
Okay.
So like my Wi-Fi in my office is $2,000 a month.
What?
Right?
What kind of Wi-Fi you got, dog?
A gigahertz or whatever. We
Holy
got
cow.
right, whatever.
Wow.
So I just think that anybody, because I've been there and that's how I know, right? Like I remember like living in a penthouse, driving a Lambo, thinking I was like balling, and then you wake up one day and you're like, oh man, like this is just like internet money.
Yeah.
Like this is like low hanging fruit. Like sure, if you want to make 30, 40, 50, 80 grand a month and just do that, then great. I think real entrepreneurs are addicted to building.
Yes.
It's not just the money and the lifestyle.
Yes.
Right? Like, I don't know where that got all twisted up, right? I think that for me, it's about, I want to build something massive. I want to build a freaking machine, an empire, something that will run far beyond me, And again, like we talked about a little while ago, dude, I could just turn my phone off. I just did it. I went to the Hoffman process. I handed my phone to them when I got there, and I was off, nothing for a week, right? And I wasn't even worried about it, dude. Every one of my companies, when I turned my phone back on a week later, they were fine.
Wow.
And they grew and they made a bunch of money.
Cool.
And you know what I mean? And I could have just left it off, So like, but can most entrepreneurs say that? Could they do
probably
that?
Not.
No, dude, they got to wake up and do the freaking call. They got to hype people up. They got to get in their Slack channel and freaking, talk to their VAs, So I get it. It's a stepping stone, right?
How did you step it? Because I'm still there, right? I'm still the one selling. I'm still the one building the team, right? I want to get there, but like, how did you step the stone, dude?
You just got to think big, dude. I think you got to think really big, and you got to just continuously be growing, like I've just taken these big leaps of like, I'm gonna freaking take a massive leap here, I'm gonna take another massive leap. I'm always doing things 90 or 180 days too soon, right? Like it's never comfortable for me. Every big decision I make, I'm like, gosh dang, this is uncomfortable, right? Every time, bro, and I think that people are getting softer. It's one thing I do like about Andrew Tate, right? We're like going back to that.
Yeah.
Is I do think people are getting really soft.
It is true.
Right? Like I have a kind of a thing that I used to tell like people who are close to me. I'm like, I kind of came to this conclusion that the people that we all look up to, the wealthiest of the wealthy, right? They all have, if you could boil it down to one thing that they all have, dude, they just got, how do I say where it's PG-13? They just, they got balls. If you could boil it down to one thing, right?
It's true.
Because all they do is they just take more risk.
Yeah.
It isn't that.
And they work harder.
They work harder and they're willing to hire smarter people than them. And any truly wealthy person knows that look, I just have to be willing to outpay the top scientist or the top freaking coder, the top whoever, right? Like if I just go pay the right guy, like is the old saying of like, I didn't have to go to Harvard. I just have to hire somebody who did, right?
Yep.
And so I think that if you want to be a real entrepreneur, it's not about what you can do. It's about how big of risks can you take, right? Like when I think you were just talking, I don't know if we're allowed to say, but you're just talking about your videographer that you hired, right?
Yeah.
From, Brandon, right?
He knows.
So, but you got to be able to do stuff like that, right? Like those are the types of moves, right? You got to start thinking like in the world of business, dude, like I don't know if you ever seen like Billions or Suits or any of these TV shows, but it's a bit, you got to be a bit aggressive. Now, I'm
Right.
not saying do bad business. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I think you can do everything above board and be a phenomenal human being, and also go get, do a
Take
very
risk.
strategic move.
Yeah,
like
dude.
you were talking earlier, like these
Yes.
chess-like plays, right? Of like, dude, I see that cat over there, and he's making $300,000 a month W-2 from that guy. I'm gonna go offer him 500
Exactly.
and get him to come work for me. You know what I
Totally.
mean, dude? This is part of the game, bro.
It
And
is.
if that other guy wants to keep him, he's got to offer him 600, right?
Yeah,
because
and-
I'm gonna go get him over to me, and
Totally.
and I'm gonna blow it up, And so I don't gotta be smart.
Yep.
I just have to have, again, going back to like big balls. I mean, I have to freaking, I've got to be able to take these big giant risks, right?
Yes.
That other people aren't willing to take. You look at guys like Grant Cardone, right? He's a great example. What I love about Grant is he's this perfect example of a guy who's not that smart.
Yep.
Right? Like, and he admits it, dude. He gets up on stage, and he's like, guys, I ain't that smart, right?
And he proves it. No, I'm
and he
kidding.
but
No, I'm kidding.
but
He's a
dude,
smart guy.
But look at him though. But he's
Yeah.
not that smart.
No, he's
right?
not though. Yeah, dude, some of the stuff you're saying, like he's saying, right, is very elementary.
Yeah, and
But he has balls,
and
like you said.
big balls,
Big
dude.
balls,
Yeah,
dude.
bro.
He doesn't care.
Big-
And-
he doesn't
and he
care.
just keeps going,
Yeah.
dude.
And look at the people
Yeah.
around him.
Yeah.
He hires the best
Brandon
of the
Dawson.
best of the best.
He's
right?
smart.
Ryan Secco.
Yeah, Ryan
You know,
Secco.
he
Yeah, he's
wouldn't be
smart
able
too.
to. He wouldn't be able to do any of that crap without Ryan, right? And so he's just going and taking these huge risks that nobody else is willing to take, right? So that kind of proves my point, I think, of like these big entrepreneurs. Elon is a very intelligent guy. Do not
Yeah.
mistake what I'm about to say. Probably one of the smartest humans that I think a lot of us
the
have ever
planet,
kind of
yeah.
witnessed. But with that being said, I guarantee you that a lot of the people that work for Elon are 10 times smarter.
Really?
I guarantee it,
You
bro.
think so?
I guarantee it. Think of SpaceX. Think of all
Right.
this crap. Think of the rocket scientist who's in the
Yeah,
the
that makes
trenches
sense.
of actually building the rocket. I mean, Elon's running the company.
Yeah.
But there's people who are building the actual crap, right? Like,
Yep.
I guarantee you, he's got some people behind the scenes, bro, that are freaking absolutely brilliant.
Aliens.
That he pays millions and
Yeah.
millions of dollars a year in W-2 salary to work
Easily,
for him, right?
if not more.
And so again, big balls, dude. So again, I'm not saying he's not. He is incredibly smart too. He's one
Totally.
of those unique unicorns, probably, where he's also equally as smart as some of the people he brings on. But most people that you look up to, I think that they're smart. Don't get me wrong, but more than anything, they have a higher risk tolerance.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I think that with that risk tolerance, if you take on the risk, everyone's like, okay, I'm just going to go take on risk. It doesn't just work like that.
Yeah.
I think you need to take on the risk and you need to match it
Yeah.
with perspicacity or
Yeah,
whatever that word is,
for
right?
sure.
Tenacity, like just grit. Like that's
Yeah.
one of the things that a couple of my friends have always said, like, and even my little sister, because whenever I get into something crazy, she's like, oh, Bridger always lands on his feet.
Yeah.
Right? It's like no matter what I get into, like I believe
Yep.
that in one way or another, I'm gonna figure it out somehow. Right? Like find a way or make one back against the wall.
Yeah.
And for because we're both believers, we both go to church.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I love is Jeremiah 29:11. Right? For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to give you a hope and a future, not for destruction. I don't care
Yeah.
what I go into.
Amen. Yeah.
I'm gonna come out on
Yeah,
top.
for sure, bro. And
Yeah.
another beautiful worldly aspect of that is people typically who come from nothing don't fear going back to nothing, right? So, you look at guys like Grant, you take a guy like me, I don't know where you come from, but dude, I grew up in a garage. I grew up in my grandparents' garage, right? And they didn't have money, bro. Like he owned his own company, but we didn't have money. You know what I mean? And I made my own money. I worked my ass off, and dude, I'll go right back and put my mattress right back in that garage. I don't give a shit, bro. You know what I mean?
I love
Because
it.
it
I'm
doesn't
the same
bother
way.
me, bro. I don't care. I don't need any of this.
Same, dude.
I don't
Yeah.
need the Optima. I don't need the fancy cars. I don't need the big office.
Yep.
You could take everything from me.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact I could rebuild it again because you
Totally.
can't take what's in between here, right? So, I think that
There is one who can though.
there is something to be said about that. Yeah. Who's that?
The adversary.
Right.
There is one person that wants to take what's in between here.
Sure.
And he's shooting fiery darts
1,000,000%.
of doubt,
Yeah.
fear, insecurity. Right. And that's what I think being an entrepreneur is you're facing that adversary every day. Right. You're getting attacked more because you're the leader. Right. So I think that protecting that mind and heart is huge.
Huge.
So how have you
Yeah.
taken some precautions to protect your mind and heart?
Well, I think you just have to know where you're vulnerable, right? Like he can only win where you're vulnerable, right? So I think I'm just very careful of like who I hang out with, and kind of what I do on a day-to-day basis. I mean, I think. And I think with time too, you become really strong to any sort of thing like that. So I think in the beginning it's much harder, right? In the beginning, like you're fighting the good fight too, because let's say somebody's watching and they just stopped partying recently, right?
Right.
Well, it's going to be much harder for that person to resist going to a party if their last party was last weekend than it is for me, right?
Right.
Because for me, I'm like, oh, dude, I don't even give a shit. I don't care,
Yeah.
like I'm not.
And you're all or nothing. You already did all that.
Yeah.
You're not curious. I think curiosity, right, as a young person, really gets them.
Yeah, and I think they probably should go get it out of their system.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't regret doing that.
Okay.
Honestly, I don't regret anything in my life. All of the mistakes that I made, everything I've done, I don't regret it. I think
That's biblical.
Yeah, dude.
God uses all things.
1,000,000%, right? And your test will be your testimony one day. And remember, the best person to help a drug addict get free from drugs is an ex-drug addict, right?
That's true.
And so you got to be very careful, I think, when you're going through stuff that you're not selfish about that either. And you think in your head, when I'm in the middle of a storm, how is this storm going to serve somebody else when I get through the storm?
I
right?
love that.
And so I think you've got to start growing in wisdom a little bit. And so for me, even now, when I go through a storm, I'm always trying to think, okay, man, I don't really feel like comfortable where I'm at right here. And I don't like myself for doing whatever I'm doing and whatever. But let me just take a step back and think about, okay, I know for a fact I'll get through it because nothing good lasts forever, nothing bad lasts forever. So one day I'll get through it. And when I do, who am I going to be able to serve and help on the other end of it, right?
I love that, dude.
So what can I learn in the storm?
Yeah.
Right?
What would you say? Because, dude, you got 100 people, man. In order to do that, you have to build some incredible culture. And I've seen some videos, dude. You guys are doing push-ups and all this. Like, walk me through how you've been able to build such a cool culture that your company grows even when you're not present. And I bet you if I went there and you were at the Hoffman, it'd probably still feel like Austin's company.
For sure, it would, yeah. That took a lot of time to figure out. I failed many, many, many times. I think that a great culture is so many different things. It starts with great people. Okay. Right, so you've got to bring great people on. You one bad apple will ruin the whole thing, right?
Oof, I love that.
So you've got to be really, really careful. I've learned that many times. So when we're hiring now, we're very, very, very picky. Okay, and so again, we're hiring based on the heart, right? So main thing I hire on is based on the heart, right? You could have all the accolades in the world. You could have the perfect resume. If you don't have the right heart, if you're not the right human being, I'm not going to hire you. I don't care what your resume says, right? So if you have the perfect resume that is exactly what I'm looking for, but you freaking don't do the right things on the weekend, or you're in the bad relationship, or you're just a toxic human being, I'm not hiring you.
How do you tell that, right? Because a lot of people lie on their interviews, fake it, right?
You just get good, dude.
You just get good?
Your bullshit meter, you get so good, you know? Yeah. I mean, dude, I could just sit with somebody now for a minute and a half and tell you if they'd be a good fit or not, you know?
Really? That's incredible.
Yeah. So you get really, really good. You hire enough of the wrong people and you'll learn how to hire the right people, I've hired a lot of bad people,
How many people you hired, probably?
Over 1,000.
Over 1,000. Yeah, I'm at about probably 100 sales reps that I've hired. But yeah, no, I definitely now can tell.
Yeah.
At least for sales reps, I'm still figuring out the other roles. But for sales reps, I can tell very quickly if someone's going to be able to get it.
Yeah.
And if they're not.
So that's the main thing, dude. The culture will start to build itself if you have if you have enough of the right people. You'll have to lead from the front in the beginning for a while, and you'll have to kind of get different people to be kind of like brand ambassador types of people that also kind of rep the culture, right? And then people just eventually follow, and then eventually it'll take on a life of its own, and you won't have to do much. I'm at a point now where the culture really is the culture, and even if I wanted to, I couldn't mess it up. So now we're very blessed. I'm very lucky to have a culture where. You're right. I could be gone for a month or 2 or 3 months or however long, and the culture would just continue to grow, right? Because we have enough tenure with our people. They've been there a long enough period of time with such an incredible culture that it'll just continue to build, right? But the beginning is the hardest part with culture, you know. But again, I think it really does start with hiring the right people. You got to hire the right people, man.
I love that. So hire with heart.
Yep.
Hire a lot of people. Fire fast.
Fire very quickly, and then all the little crap. But this,
Okay.
a lot of it goes without saying, right? Like we throw parties, and we're throwing a big Christmas party
cool.
in 3 weeks, for our team. We spend 15 grand on a party. We're bringing in, blackjack dealer, poker,
Oh, dude.
craps, whatever else. And we're doing, DJ, bartender, all our office right here, right? So, we'll have like casino night,
Wow.
and we're going to give away prizes, give people TVs and iPhones and, AirPods and,
Wow.
so like we throw parties all the time. I've taken our entire team to Cabo. We've rented big penthouses and big mansions in Pedregal and Cabo. I've taken, dude, like last summer, I rented a big freaking, I have a boat, at the lake. I don't know if you know that. And
Oh, cool.
So my boat stays at the lake, and we rented a big houseboat at the lake, like a massive houseboat. And I invited like a bunch of my team out there, and we grilled, and I took everybody out on my Centurion, and we went surfing,
sick.
and about sunk the damn thing. I had so many people on it, but dude, we do fun stuff, man. Next week we're doing a big potluck for Thanksgiving, so everybody will sign up and have 60 or 70, 80 people come into the office and bring, a different dish, right?
Wow.
And we'll play a game, like hot potato where, or whatever, right? And so you just, that stuff matters. We went, where did we go last? We took everybody to, we catered a bunch of food, and we took everybody to Octane Raceway. So we brought like 70 people to Octane, and we rented out the whole thing and went go-kart racing,
fun.
So just, you gotta build culture, man.
Yep.
You gotta show people a fun time. You have to pay people well. You have to pay people well. If you underpay people, you can't build a good culture underpaying people, right? So you've got to be very careful there. We pay very well. Our commission, even our sale, even our 1099 people get paid very well. Like I should say, obviously they're in control of their own income, but they have the way that our tiers and everything are set up within each of our companies.
Yeah.
They have the potential to earn a very healthy income,
Okay.
Dude, I've got so many people who make 200-300 grand a year, in my companies. So I mean,
They're
dude,
not going anywhere,
yeah,
right?
dude,
I mean,
I've got
that's great money.
22-year-olds making 300 grand a year.
That's crazy. Dude. Don't you have some 18-year-olds making like 6 figures too?
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, because I think I've seen a story. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
Man.
I had a 17-year-old that was
Did you?
making at one point. Yeah,
What a gangster, man. That's cool. Isn't that
So,
fun, dude? That's what I
yeah.
love about building the company. The impact.
Dude, I've got all the young guns are starting to buy Teslas. So I just bought a Plaid and Tesla
okay.
Plaid, and now I drive to my office and there's like 8 Teslas out in the parking lot. Everybody, yeah. So we pay people very well. We show people a good time. And then other stuff like you'll never hear me curse ever in front of my team ever. I'll never do it. I won't use foul language in front of them. I'm just we're very transparent. People know, like in like our wholesale company, for example, like everybody knows how much money we make. So we're very forthcoming about all of the numbers. So they know how much money the company's making. They know how much money they're making. They know how much money each other is making. So dude, you've got to build it like that, man. Otherwise, it won't sustain. Now,
Yeah.
I think you'll probably eventually get to a certain goal or a certain point where maybe it wouldn't matter as much. I don't know. I haven't been there yet, but from what I can see in other people's companies, I think you probably get to 300, 400, 500, maybe 1,000 employees, and then it's probably a different set of problems, I would imagine.
Yeah. Makes sense. Different problems, different size.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you're starting to hire people, right? You're starting out, how are you defining paying people well? Is that like a standard, okay, whatever the average is in the industry, you pay them 10%, 20% more?
Yeah.
Or is it they have the capacity, or like what's the thought process there?
It'll just depend on the actual scenario,
Okay.
Some people, it depends on their skill set, like
Okay.
the level, where are they at in their journey. So like for example, like I have a W-2 people that when I hired them, they didn't necessarily have the skill set to earn a ton of money, but I knew that they had the potential to get there. And so I would sell them the dream on, look, I'm going to teach you everything and show you the ropes, and you're going to have the potential to eventually make a lot of money, right? And then as they grow in their skill set, then I'll start to pay them more and more and more over time. I might even give somebody a raise every 90 days if they deserve it, right? So you just have to, and then the other thing about building a great culture is that whoever's leading that culture, like their vision has to encompass everybody's vision within it, right?
Amen.
So my vision has to be so big that everybody could achieve their goal, their
Yes.
life's goal,
Yep.
without leaving me.
I love that.
Right? Remember, people will leave you if they feel like they're going to get capped working for you.
Amen.
Okay, so you have to know your people. What is their life's mission? You have to sit everybody down. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to be in 5 years, 10 years? How much money do you want to make? How much time do you want to spend with your family? How much vacation do you want, right? And they're going to tell you, and then you have to understand that if you're not capable of helping them achieve that goal, like if they can't achieve their goal within your goal's too small, and therefore they will leave you eventually because your goal's not big enough.
Wow. Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've found that to be true. And I've left a couple places, right? Because of that, right?
Yeah. Because even an entrepreneur, even somebody like you or me, if you went to work for somebody big enough and they gave you a big enough roadmap, you would work for somebody else. I really believe that. Like if Elon called you right now and he said, Bridger, I need you. I got this big, massive freaking project and I need you on it. I'll pay you $3 million a year day one with an opportunity to get to $30 million a year.
Yeah.
Like you'd take the job, right?
Yeah.
And you see what I'm saying? So it's not about necessarily working for somebody else. It's about whatever your goals are. Could you do that inside of somebody else's organization? Or do you feel like you have to create your own organization to achieve your goal? Right?
Totally, man.
Yeah.
I love it. And there's one last thing I want to talk about before we wrap up, which is what you hinted on a couple times earlier, but your childhood, how you grew up. And I think that it's very impactful. I was just talking to a guy today, and he was sharing with me some things that happened that really impacted his self-image that still is holding him back to this day 13 years later. So for you, like you've kind of overcome that. Yeah. I want to hear about, what was your relationship like? Because you grew up with your grandparents.
Yeah.
What was your relationship like with your mom, with your dad? How did that impact you? And because there's a lot of guys watching this, unfortunately, that don't have the father figure that either they wanted or they didn't have one.
Yeah.
Right?
I definitely didn't. Not what I wanted, because I wanted my dad to be a different dad than he was, and he wasn't. And they're around, my mom and my dad. They were divorced. They got divorced when I was a younger kid, and then I bounced around a lot, and I ultimately just lived with my grandparents, And I always wanted my dad to be somebody that he wasn't, and I hated him for it for forever and ever and ever, And yeah, man, it jacked me up for a long time, and I'm sure I'm still jacked up as a result of it to a certain degree. I've done a lot of work, but it also drove me to be the man I am today.
Absolutely.
So again, it all goes back to, you can't regret anything. It had anything been different in my past, I wouldn't be sitting here in front of you, right? So you got to be really careful when you're thinking about it, but yeah, dude. I mean, when I was a kid, though, I wanted a normal family, and I didn't have one. Yep. I wanted my mom and my dad to be married, and I had buddies that their parents were married, and I wanted to live in a normal house with my mom and my dad, and I couldn't, And I loved my grandparents. My grandparents were amazing, right? But as a kid, they weren't my parents.
Disconnect generationally, right?
Yeah. So, it messed me up, man. And I think if anybody's going through that, just know no family's perfect, So as much as I probably thought that my friends or whoever I was comparing to when I was a kid, like had it all, they had the perfect childhood or whatever, like they didn't, you know?
Yeah.
And now that I get older, like they're all jacked up in their own way. Like I still know people who I hung out with when I was a kid, and they got their own set of problems, So, clearly it doesn't matter where you come from. Like you can make anything out of your life, but yeah, it can definitely be hard when you're growing up. Yeah.
Yeah. That's powerful, man. I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to talk about? Like, where can they connect with you, right? They're watching this, they're inspired, they know you're about to start quadrupling content, right? If they want to get into some of your programs, what's the best way to connect with Mr. Austin?
Yeah, just reach out to me on any platform. Just at Austin ZABACK. Yeah.
Okay,
so
cool.
TikTok, IG. Probably IG is going to be the fastest.
ZABACK, ZAYBACK.
Just ZABACK.
ZABACK.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Awesome.
And yeah, dude, I'm on every platform. We've got a two YouTube channels. Well, 3 YouTube channels technically, but my main channel is just Austin ZABACK. Yeah.
I love it. And guys, if you're interested in real estate, there's no one else that I would actually want to send you to. Like I've got other people in the space, and he's doing it, right? He's actually doing it at a higher level than he's teaching it. The problem that I see in a lot of these spaces, right?
Yeah,
people who can't do, they teach.
Yeah.
Right? You're doing it, and you're like, you know what? I want to give back, right? It's a very. Did you guys hear what he said? He's got 50 real estate agents. He's got that are sales reps. 3 of them are only selling his education. So that for me is a good sign. So I definitely check out your program. Flippin' simple, right?
Yeah.
I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Uh-huh.
Well, dude, I really appreciate you having, coming on my show, talking about your story, bridging the gap, and hopefully, as the time progresses, we'll bring you back on and hear how you've bridged the gap to the next level. What's
love it, man.
one goal you're gonna knock out in the next, like you said, 90 days, 6 months, a year?
Dude, I'm really focused on media.
Okay.
So we're gonna build the studios, and we're gonna blow it up, dude.
Your
You
content,
watch.
your-
Yeah,
like
my
your
content
brand?
in particular.
Okay,
my
so-
brand.
so
yeah,
you're
I want
blowing
to go
up.
to 250,000 subs on YouTube.
Okay.
In a very short while, and blow up the podcast. Big names.
Let's go.
Big people.
You already got some
And,
cool cats on there,
yeah,
dude. You
we're
had
gonna
some
go way
Andy
bigger,
Elliott. Who's
though.
the biggest cat you had on so far?
Well, it's hard to define that because
Okay.
big to you will be different than big to me.
Right.
But, we had Vitaly on. That was a cool one. We had Andy Elliott. I've had Cody Sperber, Jamil Damji, Brent Daniels. Man, we've had a lot of big... Dude, I've had, Certified Health Nut, Troy Casey. Dude, so many big people. Alex Morton. I mean, I can't even remember them all. I mean, we had a lot of big names. Yeah.
What's one that you feel like for the younger guys they should definitely tap into? Because I definitely want them tapping into your content.
Yeah, for the younger guys.
Up and comers, strategies, tactics, stuff to
Yeah.
plug into, right? Real ornery guys, a lot of energy.
I mean, Andy's a good dude.
Okay.
I think a lot of young people are gravitating to Andy right now because he's almost like a version of I don't know how to compare him. I don't know who to compare him
Dude,
to.
he's kind of a category 1, isn't he?
he's
kind of
out
like
there.
a Marine.
Yeah,
Like a Marine dude. And then he's kind of like a Grant Cardone sales guy. And then he's kind of like a Tate.
Yeah,
and then
he is. That's what I was just gonna say a minute ago. Yeah, I would watch that one for sure.
Okay.
It's just so real and raw.
I love that one.
Yeah,
I watched it.
This is a good one.
It's a great episode.
Yeah, so check that one out, and then go check some of the other ones out. Yeah, we're on every platform.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thanks for tuning in to Bridging the Gap. If you like the show, make sure you comment, you subscribe, you share it with someone that you feel like is going to help them in whatever they're going through, guys. I am Bridger Rogers. This is Bridging the Gap, and together we will bridge your gap. Till the next show.
All right, congratulations. If you made it to the end of the video, you're a 1%er. So do me a favor, do a couple things for me. Number 1, share this with someone that you feel like will get tremendous value from this video. And then number 2, we've got content that'll help you level up and bridge the gap in multiple areas of life. Your belief systems, your mindset, your body, your business, your brotherhood, your babe. So all you gotta do is hit the link right here to watch my most recent video on how to bridge the gap with your belief system, with your body, with your business, with your brotherhood, and help you find a babe. See you guys in the next video.